Right now, we're going to check on the international news headlines around the world with Flo Volumino. Hi there, Flo. Let's, of course, start off with Florida. So many tributes coming out in the press to the victims.
Let's start with the Orlando Sentinel, the local paper there, taking a look at those vigils that were held really in the hours in the aftermath of that deadly attack on the gay nightclub there. The Daily Beast also has a very moving tribute to the 49 people murdered in the deadliest mass shooting in American history. They must be remembered as individuals. These are their stories. You can see some of the photos there of some of the victims. The youngest one was 19, the oldest 50. They were pharmacy techs, travel agents, students, churchgoers. They came to Orlando from everywhere. Many were gay, lesbian, or transgendered. All of them were someone's son or daughter, and now they're gone.
I think there's quite a sense, isn't there, in the papers that people want to put the victims forward, because we've seen so much of the man who took their lives, and people wanting to underline that these were real people who were killed, not just a figure. The gunman, though, did claim to be acting in the name of the Islamic State group, and that's a point that's getting quite a lot of debate. How much involvement did the Islamic State group really have, if any?
That's right. Let's take a look, first of all, at an article in The Independent that says that ISIS is desperate to claim responsibility for the attack, even though U.S. authorities say there's no evidence that the gunman was directed externally. Now, in a way, it doesn't really matter whether or not he was. The damage has already been done. That's what the opinion that's coming out of many papers, like this article in the Washington Post today, that says that the Islamic State group is showing that it can still inspire violence, even though it's suffering in a way at home in its caliphate. It's having to change its strategy in many ways. And the Washington Post reports on a recent statement that was issued by the group's spokesperson that said, don't bother coming to Syria. This was a message for ISIS's followers. The smallest action you can do in the heartland is better and more enduring to us than what you could do if you were here with us.
So I guess the question many people are asking then, how big of a threat is the Islamic State group all around the world?
Well, the New York Times has done the math, and they've made it into this graphic that you can see here. More than 1,200 people outside of Iraq and Syria have been killed in attacks inspired or coordinated by the Islamic State group in recent years. Now, you can see here this graphic. Now, do remember, though, that most of the victims are in Syria and Iraq. So this is just what's happening outside. But, of course, this is an angle that's getting a lot of attention in the U.S. as well. Let's take a look at the Wall Street Journal's editorial today. You can see they're talking about jihad in Orlando. The distressing truth is no amount of domestic vigilance can stop every ISIS-inspired act of terror. The only real solution is to destroy ISIS at home. So very defiant editorial there.
It's that language of war, isn't it, that we're hearing once again. In the left-wing media, though, we're hearing people talking more about gun control, as much as they are also mentioning the Islamic State group. But gun control and the lack of it in the United States.
And what an explosive combination it can be when you have these calls for lone wolf attacks. This is a cartoon in The Guardian that sums things up quite well. You can see this ISIS flag that's been planted into the Second Amendment. Remember, the Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms. The New Yorker has a very interesting analysis piece that says, for years now, people have been talking about this combination between America's lax gun laws and these calls for individuals to carry out terrorist attacks at home. And you can see their description of things. They're calling it that this very special combination is an American nightmare.
And we haven't heard from one actor that's present in much of the debate, but doesn't seem to have spoken out, unless I've missed something, the National Rifle Association, the NRA.
Well, the NRA remains silent very, very, very much in the immediate aftermath, and you can read more about it here in Slate. They did tweet, though. This was 40 hours, and 59 minutes after the first reports of the attacks. And you can see this is their tweet. Very defiant message here. Gun laws don't deter terrorists. And this, of course, is the message that the NRA has been, pounding on over and over about. In fact, Slate has compounded all the NRA responses to all the mass shootings in the United States since the Twitter account opened in 2009. And I must admit, it's pretty jaw-dropping.
Wow, OK, that's something for our viewers to have a look through themselves later on. Thanks very much for now. Flo Volumino there, taking us through the international press and some social media responses to the shootings in Orlando.